My name is Jimmy Fung, and I almost didn't film this video because you see a lot of people on the internet, a lot of these other people online talking about how they went from broke to being a millionaire, become rich. And for me, I just didn't have that story because you see, I don't live in a giant mansion, I don't drive a fancy car, I don't drive a Lamborghini. But what I do have is I was minus 15K in credit card debt to making $50,000 per month as a 23-year-old in Canada. So the reason I made this video is because throughout my journey, I always enjoyed watching these different videos of people talk about their story because I personally found it just super inspiring, and in a way, it showed me what was possible. So the reason I'm making this video is because if I could just inspire even just one person, one of you watching this video, I'd be very happy. So here's my story. So I was born in the year 2000, and growing up, we were middle class. We weren't rich, we weren't poor, we were not like necessarily struggling with bills to pay rent and stuff like that. We were just middle class. My father, he was an accountant, and my mom was a housewife. And a lot of people don't know this, but I actually have a twin brother as well. So growing up, whenever I needed something, whenever I wanted something, so whenever I wanted the latest iPod or I wanted the latest shoes or laptops, I would just have to make my own money to buy these things. So in a way, my entrepreneurship journey, it really started back in high school, because at the time, this was around 2015, 2016, there was these really popular shoes. It was called Yeezys. It was released by Kanye West, a rapper. And it was just super, super popular. And in a way, it was just kind of a cash cow, because whenever they released on Adidas, they would retail for like 300 bucks. And if you could get your hands on one, on a pair, you'd literally be able to resell it for $2,000. So that's what I did throughout high school. And that's how I was able to just make money here and there. I wasn't, making thousands of dollars or anything, but I just made enough because during high school, my only focus was getting good grades and just being able to buy iPods, buy phones, buy laptops, buy the latest sneakers. And that's entirely what I did in high school. So then the year is 2018. That's when I graduated high school, and now I was a full adult. In high school, I didn't really have to worry about anything again, right? I was just thinking about how I could make a few $100 here and there to buy iPods, to buy a phone. But now I was an adult and I needed to actually make money, and I needed to make something out of myself. During that year, I also enrolled in a university in Canada. I was studying business, and my entire plan was to just go to school, was just to study hard, get good grades, get a job, and then eventually get rich. That was my entire plan. And throughout that time, I literally had zero skills. I was fresh out of high school. I just turned 18. I had no skills. I had no experiences. And I did what every other 18-year-old would have done. I went and applied for a part-time job. So after a few months, I actually landed my first job. It was at McDonald's. I was working there for 14 or 15 bucks an hour, whatever the minimum wage is in Canada. And I was flipping burgers. And I remember the very first day I started at McDonald's, it was actually my birthday. The day I turned 18, that was my first shift. And I remember waking up and taking the bus. This was at 6 a.m. on my birthday, the day I turned 18. And I absolutely hated that job. But I knew that I just had to wait it out because, again, my entire plan was to go to university, study hard, get a good job, get rich. But in the meantime was just to, work a part-time job at McDonald's for a few years and just essentially just wait it out. So then fast forward to 2020. Obviously, this was the lockdowns. It was a very crazy year. And now I was suddenly at home. I had a lot of free time. And on a random day, I don't even know how, I actually started reading a book. So a little bit more background context. So from the ages on me from 0 to literally 20 years old, because this was in 2020 during COVID, I literally never read a single book front to back. Maybe I read like a picture book or something when I was 4 years old. But throughout school, throughout high school, elementary school, whatever the case is, anytime I needed to read a book to do a book report, what I actually did was I searched that book on Google and I went on sites like SparkNotes or some other website online that summarized the book, and that's what I did to finish my essay. So I never read a single book, and on a random day, I suddenly got the motivation. I had a sudden urge to read a book. So I read the first book. It was called Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And obviously a lot of people out there, they clown the author, this or that. But that book was completely life-changing because it completely broke my frame. Because up until that point, I literally thought that the only way to get rich was to, again, go to school, get a nice job, work up the corporate ladder, and then down the line, buy $1 million house, buy a fancy car, and that was the path. But after reading that book, it kind of taught me that that wasn't the way that most people get rich. You're not going to get rich working a job, making 70, 80K a year. The math just doesn't math. And after reading that book, again, right, it completely shattered my frame. And I realized that getting a job would not get me to where I knew I could be. I knew I wouldn't be a millionaire by working a job. And I certainly knew I wouldn't be able to do that while I was young. So after reading that book, it kind of inspired me and it planted a lot of thoughts inside my head. And I started asking myself, what can I do to actually go and make a lot of money? And every single direction pointed towards building a business, finding a high income skill, learning it, mastering it, and then selling that skill to then make a lot of money. So that's exactly what I did. Then around that time, I actually just started getting random ads from a guy called Iman Gaji. And at the time, he was really trying to sell his agency navigator course. And what that course taught was it was teaching you how to build a SMMA, a social media marketing agency. And obviously the idea was super appealing. The ability to make thousands of dollars online, work anywhere around the world on your own time zone, all by running ads, Facebook ads, and selling that to different brands, to different businesses. That was just super, super appealing. And in a way, that's what started my online business journey. So after I went through that course, I actually got into a cycle of just buying course after course after course. And the problem with that was I was just soaking in all of this knowledge. I told myself I was just better equipping myself until I was ready, just learning as much as I can. And I actually went through that entire process, buying course after course after course, but not actually taking action. And what that's called was called analysis paralysis, where I was just too stuck in the weeds of actually learning stuff without actually taking action. And that's kind of what I learned from that journey is it's super, super important to just be taking action, even if you don't have all the answers. But at the time, this was 2020 to 2021, I didn't know that. And I thought I was making moves by just buying courses, consuming all of these videos, and just getting quote unquote smarter. That's what I thought was making me moves. And that's exactly what I did. So I started my SMMA and it quite frankly did not go well. This was my first attempt at business. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, right? I struggled with getting clients. I didn't know how to outreach. I didn't know how to sell. I certainly didn't know how to run ads for businesses. So I struggled. Somewhere along that timeline, I also tried dropshipping. I saw a dropshipping course. I think it was on my TikTok or something like that. And I bought a dropshipping course teaching, buying different products from China and then selling it using TikTok organic. So then I started dropshipping. I tried dropshipping for a couple months and I never made a single sale. I bought a bunch of different products thinking this was the one that was going to get me rich. And obviously it didn't make me a single dollar. And I actually lost a few $100 from just buying different products and just not making any sales. This is actually one of the products that I tried selling. I don't even remember what it is, but I think it was like a massage pen or something like that. And I bought this product. I bought a couple inventory of it. I tried posting different videos on TikTok and it just got zero traction. So after that, I just gave up on dropshipping. I then bought a course talking about email marketing. So those marketing emails that you get from brands like Lululemon, from Nike, from Gymshark that you might get on Boxing Day or Black Friday, whatever the case is, marketing the products, promotion, stuff like that. I gave that a go. My reason behind that was I thought the reason I failed with SMMA was the service was just super, super saturated. There was a lot of people selling ads to different e-com brands. And I thought that by selling a different service, so in this case, Klaviyo email marketing, I would yield much better results. And I wasn't wrong with that because I was able to get a few clients, but that was my entire thought process behind that. So during that time, I was also $15,000 in credit card debt. I had racked up thousands of dollars on my American Express credit card and I just struggled, right? I was super, super stressed. It was credit card debt, the highest interest type of debt that you could humanly get. And the reason why I ended up in so much debt was because quite frankly, I just made really poor financial decisions. But the bulk of that was spending thousands of dollars on these different courses online. Every time I saw an ad, I was interested and I thought about buying. And a large amount of that debt came from just buying just really terrible courses, really bad programs, and in a way, essentially scams, right? So I felt like I got scammed. But I also knew that this worked. I knew that there was a lot of people my age at the time. I was 21 years old, 22 years old. I knew that there's a lot of people online making thousands of dollars. So there must have been a way. And I knew that if I was building an email marketing agency, I just had to make this work. So I kind of just went all in. And what I did was I actually started outreaching to e-commerce brands. Again, right? I was doing Klaviyo email marketing for e-commerce brands. And I started by manually firing up Gmail every single day. I started waking up at like 6, 7 a.m. and I would just start typing away these cold emails. And I think I was sending 25, 50 cold emails a day. And what actually happened was after 2 or 3 months of just manually sending these emails every single day, I never stopped, I was able to land my first client. Now, this first client, they were a supplement store. I think they were selling mushrooms or something like that. Not like the drug mushroom, but some form of mushroom supplement. And I was able to land them, but I didn't make any money. So the way I pitched my service was I pitched it as I will work for free and I'll take a revenue share of the revenue generated from the emails that I created. And that's exactly what I did. So then the next month, I think this was June or July 2022, the next month, I was still doing these email outreaches every single day, and I actually landed my second client. They were a tea leaves e-commerce brand, and similar to the mushroom store, I got started for free. I did a revenue share again. And after this, I looked at it, I stopped and looked at it, and I felt kind of nice because at that point, I felt like I was starting to pick up some traction. Obviously, I had 2 clients, I didn't make any money, but I felt nice knowing that I was just getting some small wins under my belt. And I felt like it was inevitable and just a matter of time before I started making thousands of dollars for my email marketing business. But the largest problem I now had was I had 2 clients for my email marketing agency, and I finally needed to deliver the service. But I didn't know how to deliver the service because what a lot of people don't tell you is that for these business models like email marketing, SMMA, you just have to learn way too many skills in a short period of time. The first skill you need to learn is client acquisition. How do you outreach? How do you sell? How do you actually find new clients for yourself? And then after you sign these clients for yourself, how do you actually deliver on the service that they paid for? Or in this case, obviously I wasn't making money, I was doing it for free, but how do I actually deliver the service that we agreed on? I didn't realize that email marketing needed to learn so many skills in copywriting, graphic design, email deliverability, all of this stuff. And I just struggled. I was super stressed, and it was just impossible for someone like myself, a beginner, to master all of these skills in such a short period of time. So then while I was running the email marketing agency, again, I was still in school. I think I was in 3rd or 4th year. My program was a 5-year long program. I think I was in 3rd or 4th year. It was around the summertime, and I actually landed a summer internship. I landed an internship at IBM. And what I did there was I was a sales development rep intern. I was helping them sell the IBM cloud solutions, and I got an inside look as to how IBM was able to sell their products and their entire sales process front to back. What I was doing on a day-to-day basis was I was sending cold emails. I was cold calling. I was doing all of these different things to help IBM find new customers, find new clients, and to generate more sales. And that experience was extremely life-changing because I looked at that process and I realized that what I was doing for IBM wasn't too different from what I was doing with my own email marketing agency. I was using cold emails in both IBM and in my email marketing agency to outreach to random people, to strangers, to random businesses, essentially pitching my product. Now, obviously my email marketing agency, it didn't have the brand name that IBM does, but I knew that if a company like IBM, some of my friends were interning at Microsoft, at Amazon, doing the same thing, if I knew all of these billion-dollar tech companies were using cold emails to land new clients, then I knew it was super valuable. And obviously there's a wide spectrum of businesses. You know, not all of them are billion-dollar companies. And I knew that all the companies from $0 to $1 billion, they all needed the exact same thing. They all needed new customers, and the only way to get new customers, especially for outbound and for outreach, is by using cold emails. So that got me thinking, why not sell that as a service? For my own email marketing agency, I had 2 clients that I got completely using cold emails. Obviously, I wasn't making money, but I was consistently booking 2 to 5 meetings every single week using the cold emails I was sending. Again, right, I was firing up Gmail, manually typing away. So it's not even like at that point, I knew completely what I was doing, but I knew it worked. That's all I knew, that it worked. And it got me thinking, why don't I sell that as a service? Because that way I was selling something I already knew, and the same process that I used to land clients for myself, if I was able to successfully sell that to a client, I'd be implementing that same process of using cold emails to generate sales calls inside of my client's business. So then in October 2022, I completely pivoted my email marketing agency into a lead generation agency, right? And what I was selling cold emails as a service. I was approaching these different B2B businesses and essentially pitching them and saying, hey, do you need new customers? Do you need new clients? If you do, we have a way to help you land new clients. What we're going to be doing is we're going to come into your business and we're going to completely build out your cold email infrastructure. A to Z, we're going to start sending cold emails on behalf of your business to help you land clients. So that's when I started my lead generation agency. At the time, it was called Burrow Group. And since then, I've changed the name to Salesway.io because the name now Salesway is just simply much better than Burrow Group. And what I did was throughout the entire November, so my first 30 days of running my own lead generation agency, I was focused on building landing pages, building VSLs, writing different cold email scripts, learning how to scrape leads, because I knew that if I was going to do this at scale, I wasn't able to land a lot of clients by manually sending 20, 50, 60 emails every single day manually. I knew I had to automate the process. And that's exactly what I did. And then I remember launching my first cold email campaign ever. This was in November 2022. And I think 2 or 3 weeks in, I reached out to 2,000 or 3,000 leads and I just wasn't getting any traction. I was barely getting any replies. I wasn't booking any sales meetings. I just thought that this wasn't working. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? I was doing this for email marketing, but why wasn't this working when I was selling it as a service instead? And I remember sitting there on my chair. I was in university at a time. I was at the school library and thinking about maybe this just isn't for me. Maybe I should move on and find a different opportunity, one that will be a lot easier for me to make money and to sell to. But for some reasons that I can't explain, I actually just decided to buckle down. I knew that I was on the verge of something, or at least I felt that way. And I remember at that time, I was still in a ton of credit card debt. So I knew I just had to make this work. So what I actually did, and what I'm about to say here, I do not recommend you follow this. If you're in a similar position, I do not recommend this, but I actually bought even more email accounts and bought even more email domains. Up until that point, I think I was sending a couple hundred emails a day, cold emails a day. And I knew, and I thought to myself, what can I do to make it unreasonable for me to not sign some clients and to make a few $1,000s? And the answer I came to was sending more cold emails. So what I did was I put, more email accounts, all these domains, I bought a ton more and I put it all on my credit card. And my thought process behind that was I was already thousands of dollars in debt. What will a few $100s do? And I knew that if I didn't, if it did just never worked out, which obviously it did, but I thought if it didn't work out, I'd be able to move on past this in a few months, look back at this experience with a clear heart and know that I gave it my all and just tried my best. Now, again, I do not recommend you do this if you are struggling or you don't have a lot of money. I don't necessarily recommend putting all of this on credit card debt because it was a very, very big risk. But obviously in my specific scenario, it worked out. So then on December 1st, 2022, I signed my first clients. His name was Mohammed and he was also in Toronto, Canada, but I didn't know him. And he ran a recruitment agency recruiting tech roles like software engineers, and he worked with finance companies and tech companies. And I signed him as my first client for $3,000. And after I did that, it was a life-changing moment, right? There's a lot of life-changing moments, but that was truly one of them. Because I remember later that day, after I signed him as a client and saw my Stripe had $3,000, I remember driving to the gym and calling up my best friend. And I remember it just being very ecstatic, very excited, and telling him how it was just a surreal feeling because in a way, it felt like I was just printing money out of thin air. I wasn't selling physical products. I wasn't doing any of these things. I didn't have inventory. I was selling in a way, I was selling information. I was selling a skill. I was selling something that was invisible. And it was just a crazy feeling. So during this time, my day-to-day was just completely filled with taking sales calls. I was using cold emails and I felt like I cracked the code. But what that led to was I was just taking a ton of sales calls on any given day. I think I was booking between 3 and 7 or 8 sales calls on any given week. I was chatting with 20 to 30 different business owners, essentially just pitching my product. And that's how I got good at sales. And it's pretty hard not to when you're taking hundreds of sales calls every single month. It becomes really hard for you not to become good at sales. It's just strictly a numbers game. And that's why I talk about numbers so much, because I was not good at sales. Before running this business, before my email marketing agency, I have never taken a single sales call in my life. And now I'm not saying I'm really good at it, but I'm much, much better at it now than I was in the beginning. And the only reason why was because I did it so many times to the point that it became unreasonable for me not to get good at sales. And by December 22nd, 2022, I had actually finished the month at $10,500. I was logging into my Stripe and I saw 10.5K, and it was a really crazy experience because in my mind now, I just knew that I was onto something. Whatever I was doing was just working. I had to buckle down, continue scaling it, pushing as hard as I can, and making as much money as I can. And it was a really life-changing moment in a way, because after that, I just knew that I would never be able to go back into a traditional job, into a traditional 9 to 5. You know, I don't hate on 9 to 5 jobs. I think they're really good for what they are. But I just knew that I didn't necessarily need to do that, because now I was making more money than the average corporate worker, than the average worker was making in a month. And I was doing that completely online. I was sending cold emails, I was taking sales calls, collecting cash, and then sending cold emails on their behalf. But what I don't share with people online was this period of time was one of the most challenging aspects of my life for me. Because yes, I was logging in, I was making money, I was seeing my bank balance rise, the digits increase, but this period was just riddled with uncertainty, with just a ton of doubt. I was always waking up asking myself, how did I get here, right? Was it just blind luck? What was going on? And I just didn't have a lot of certainty on a day-to-day basis that what I was doing was right. I didn't know if I was the right person for the job, and it was just a lot of uncertainty. It was extremely challenging period of my life. And looking back at it, I think what that was more of some internal demons that I just had to tackle myself. No one else could help me. And it was just more of different mindsets, and I just had to improve myself and level up as an individual from that point of view. Like the theme of this story, I just keep on going. No matter what I was feeling on a day-to-day basis, I just kept on pushing. I just never stopped. I never gave up. By April of 2023, so around 4 to 5 months later, I had hit my first $30,000 a month. And what I actually did was I went out and I bought this Rolex Datejust, because I was just a massive watch guy. And I'm not someone who goes out and spends a lot of money on jewelry, on clothes, on all of these materialistic things. But I've always been a massive watch guy, and I just wanted to reward myself. And then by July 2023, so around 7 months later, by the end of July, I have collected $150,000 cash inside of my business, right? So within the first 7 months of my business, from the time I started making money in December to July, that is 8 months actually, I had collected $150,000. And it was just a really crazy experience. And a lot of this is just really crazy because it was my first time experiencing this thing. And I think looking back at it, the only reason I was able to do this was just by sheer work. Anytime I ran into challenges, anytime I was uncertain, anytime I didn't feel good about what I was doing, I just continued working. I was just working harder, and work was the answer to all of this. And that was the only way that I was able to make over 6 figures in the first 8 months of me running my business. And I think the reason I was able to make over 6 figures in literally the first few months of me running my business was really just 2 things. Number 1, just working hard, and number 2, not giving up. I think that's really what it comes down to. It's not rocket science. There's no secrets here. I was just outworking a lot of other people, and I knew that I had to do this if I wanted to make it work. I was just working a unhealthy amount of working hours, which I don't necessarily recommend, but that's personally what I did. And it just worked for me, and I just never gave up. You don't understand how many times I thought about giving up. I thought about giving up more times than I can count. But at the end of the day, I just continued pushing, and I just knew that if I continued going, things would just work out. So that's what I did. And I got all of my clients completely through cold email outreach, every single client. And what I started doing was I started to stack up case studies, right? I had a lot of clients, I was giving them really good results, and I started collecting case studies, different testimonials, and leveraging them in my own outreach. And that allowed me to sign even more clients, make even more money, collect more cash up front, and work with better and bigger clients. And in a way, it was kind of a loop, and that's what I did. In the beginning, I was just focused on working with as many clients as I can. And over time, as I became really good at what I do, I started focusing more on which type of clients that I wanted to work with. I was able to take these sales calls, and actually at the end of the sales calls, I would tell different business owners, hey, I love what you're doing, but I don't think what we do at SalesRate.io is a good fit for you, right? And it was a really interesting feeling, because 6 months prior, I didn't really thought that I would be at that stage where people would want to pay me thousands of dollars and I would have to decline the offer simply because I didn't want to work with them. The vibes weren't right. Maybe the business wasn't that good, whatever the case is. And it completely shattered what I thought about business, because now I was in a different position where I didn't necessarily need to just work with every single person who wanted to pay me thousands of dollars. I also realized that as a young person, I was 22 years old, I'm 23 now, but I was 22 years old last year. as a 22 years old person, in a way, I had the world at my fingertips. The world was my oyster, as the saying goes. And I started thinking about what I wanted to do with my money. Yes, I was making a lot of money. I was stacking the cash. The bank digits were increasing, but I didn't just want to continue seeing the number increase. I wanted to just live life a little bit because I'd only be 22 years old once. And I didn't want to waste that opportunity by just working 10 hours a day every single day throughout my entire youth. So I actually started doing some traveling, and last year I went to a couple different countries. I went to Japan, I went to Thailand, I went to Korea, I went to Greece, and during that process, it taught me a lot. It taught me that life continues moving on, but if you're smart about it, you can continue making money. And I think that was one of the main benefits why I looked into making money online was the fact that I was able to continue traveling while making money. Now, obviously, I'm someone who doesn't believe that if you're traveling all the time, I don't think you'd be making as much money, and it makes sense, right? Because obviously you're working less, but I was still able to make thousands of dollars a month while doing all this traveling while halfway around the world from where I live, which is in Canada, in Toronto, Canada. So then it was also around this point that I started thinking and spending a lot of my time thinking about how I would scale. I no longer wanted to just run my business in a way as a glorified freelancer. I didn't want to be at the center of my business, and I started hiring for different roles. I hired a salesperson. I hired different virtual assistants to help me with day-to-day tasks. I hired an inbox manager because at the end of the day, yes, I was making a lot of money, but I was also working 8 to 10 hours a day, and this was focused work. This wasn't just me fooling around watching YouTube videos. I was locked in at my computer for hours every single day, just working at the business, and I didn't necessarily like that feeling on a day-to-day process. So what I did was I started to scale. I started to hire different people, and last month, I actually made $50,000 inside of my business. And that leads us to where we are today. So in October of 2023, so around 4 or 5 months ago, I launched my second business. It's a consulting business called inboxlab.io. And what we do is I help different people start, build, and scale their own lead generation agencies and get to $10,000 per month in the next 90 days. So that leads us to where we are today. In October of last year, I launched my second business called inboxlab.io. And what InboxLab is it's a consulting program basically working with people looking to start their own lead generation agencies and scale it to $10,000 per month. Because I walked through that journey. When I started, I didn't buy any courses specifically for lead generation agencies. I bought courses for other things, but not specifically for what I'm doing right now. And I felt like that because I had gone through that journey myself, I knew what I was talking about, and I'd be able to help a ton of other people, right? Help other people start the business, scale it up, sign their first few clients, make thousands of dollars, and get to $10,000 per month in the next 90 days, right? Because I knew that using the strategies that I share, anyone could do it, right? As long as you do what I say and you take a lot of action every single day and you don't give up, it will work. The strategies work. And it works really, really great. And there's just no other words to explain it. It just works really well. And I've gotten clients who are from places like Pakistan, from countries like Philippines, helping them start and build their own lead generation agencies, helping them send their first cold email campaigns, sign their first clients. And it's just a really crazy feeling because we have people that are making the equivalent of an average year's income, and they do it in a few weeks by sending emails. And a lot of people just love what I do at Inbox Lab. It's, a lot of people just love it. And the reason why is because at my agency at salesway.io, it was a business that helped other business owners make more money. And we were helping them make more money by generating them sales calls using cold emails. But at Inbox Lab, what I was doing was I was working with regular people. I was working with people that were in the exact same shoes as me 18, 20 months ago, and I was helping them make money online. And people just love it. And whenever people that I work with are making money, it's just a really fulfilling feeling because I know it has the potential to completely change their life and put them on a different life path. And everyone who works with me just loves it. I started the consulting program. I started Inbox Lab in October. And literally every single day, I'm adding a new testimonial onto my Instagram page because people just love what I do. They find it completely valuable. They love how direct it is. And what it is it's saving them time because they could obviously go and do this. It might take them a year, or they could work with me and they shortcut their experience into a matter of a few weeks. And every single day, I'm just adding new testimonials onto my Instagram page because people just love it. And we're just really good at what we do, right? There's no other ways to explain it. We're just really good at what we do. And that's what I did. And by building the consulting program alongside my agency, it also continues to teach me new lessons every single day that I'm able to apply into my own entrepreneurship journey and into my business, helping me scale both of my businesses and make more money. I think looking at my experiences for basically the past 2 years, the biggest tip and the biggest thing that I've learned is just trusting the process. Because entrepreneurship is hard, the uncertainty is crippling, you will have a lot of doubts, but the answer is just to trust the process, trust in yourself that everything will work out, and the answer is always just hard work. Whenever you don't know, whenever you're stuck, just work hard, put your head down, and just put in the work, take action in this complete disregard for what you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. And that's the answer, hard work. And that's basically my story, right? So this year in 2024, my goal is to hit my first $100,000 month. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna do that. I don't have all the answers, but I have complete trust in the process that everything will just work out as long as I'm putting in the work every single day. I'm working hard, everything will just work out. So that's basically my story. I didn't make this video to brag. I didn't make this video to show how cool I am, how smart I am, or whatever the case is. But I made this video because, again, right, if I could just inspire one of you who are watching this video, then I'll feel very, very fulfilled. And that's basically my journey. So what I did is, if you're watching this video and you're struggling, you're looking to start your own lead generation agency, then click the first link in the description below to set up a call. And no, there isn't a $9.97 course, but what it is my consulting program where I work with complete beginners, helping them start, scale, and build their own lead generation agency to $10,000 per month in the next 90 days using the exact same strategies that I did when I was first starting out and that I use to this very day to scale my own agency that I'm still running, right? I'm not talking about something that I don't know. I'm not teaching something that I did not do myself. And again, right, if you use the exact same strategies and you take action, you will make money. And if you're interested in that, then click the first link in the description below. We'll set up a call and we'll chat. We'll see if I can help you, how we can help you, and put together a personalized roadmap that will allow you to sign your first few clients and get to $10,000 per month in the next 90 days. And again, right, if you're watching this video and that's not for you, that's completely fine. I put a lot of YouTube videos online. I share as much as I can because if you do take actions on those YouTube videos, you will make money. It's just a matter of time. But that's about it. That's what I wanted to say in today's video. Hope my story was inspiring. Hope you could use it as external motivation for your own journey whenever you get stuck, whenever you're uncertainty, whenever you just don't know what to do next. Just know, continue pushing forward, continue working hard, trusting the process. I'll see you in the next video. See ya.